Da-da-da-da-da-da! Welcome everyone to the Village Law SEQFC preview show. We need the musical opening to this show. Anyway, my name's Darren. Welcome along. I've lined up so many guests tonight, and we've got a cast of just three. But they're really good guests. So we're going to have a great old chat here. So I'm going to introduce them to you now. The first one is from the Sunshine Coast Wanderers. He is the coach of the NPL women's team. His name is Nathan Cobb. G'day, Nathan.
G'day, Darren.
Great to have you with us, mate. Your first time on the show.
Yeah, first time.
Good stuff. And we've got an old stager with us tonight. His name is Jason Hall. He runs the show up there on the range. Nothing gets past him. G'day, Jason.
G'day, Darren. How you doing?
Good, mate. Good. All right, guys, let's have a quick run through the leagues. Let's start with the NPL men. Gold Coast Knights, 5 points on top, 3 matches to go. Can you see them bottling it from here?
I think they're a sure thing to get the premiership. I mean, finals might be different. I think there's been some close games this year, so Gold Coast United are looking pretty good, and Lions are still hanging in there. So, and Moreton Bay have been really good.
They have.
Yeah, I saw the Knights play the Wanderers. They played after the women the other week, and I asked Kev before the game. I said, "What do you got? What do you got to beat this team?" And he said, "I looked at them every which way, and they're very, very hard to break down. So well drilled, and even things they picked up on, they still got them on those things and scored goals." So, yeah, from what I could see and what I've seen, even online with them, you know, they're a very, very good team. And I think any team would get anywhere near them would be very lucky. Moreton Bay were there the other week. They were good. You know, they're the only real teams I've seen play live because we don't, you know, we're usually scattered everywhere on the weekend. So, but yeah, the Wanderers boys unbelievably still can mathematically make the top 4, but considering where they were, but they've come back, obviously having Kev there, and you know, they're just happy to be in the position they're in now, I think. So
it's been a really interesting. It's been a really interesting league this year. I was looking at the table and after the games on the weekend. I think Redlands can still be relegated if Olympic magically somehow win all their games and Redlands lose, but Redlands can also mathematically make the 4. So it's a really, really close league, as our league is.
Yeah, it's crazy. Of course, Kevin Ahern Evans is the person that you're talking about there, Nathan. Tell us about him taking over from Arnie.
Yeah, so he was overseas. He was still doing his TD role by stealth from over there as part of our club. So I handle the female side from the TD perspective, but he handles everything male football and all the audits. But so yeah, obviously on Arnie's exit, they put the call out, and he was literally on a flight within 3 or 4 days and came back and has taken the reins and brought the family back as well. So his son's back playing at the club as well. Yeah, he just brings a different vibe to a team. You know, he knows a lot of those boys. He's coached them before, either at the Wanderers or at some of the local community clubs. So, you know, I think his respect from the playing group, I think, is probably playing a really big part for, you know, his successes in the last, 5 to 6 games.
Yes. Now, we've got the final of the Super Cup this weekend, haven't we?
Yeah, Olympic Gold Coast Knights. Yeah.
Yeah, so that should be an interesting one. Do we give Olympic any chance?
No.
Well,
it'd be interesting if Knights, if they see great value in it and if they decide to play their strongest team. Yeah, Olympic probably struggle to get close to that, but you know, they may or they may not do that. You know, they might give players a rest in favour of having them ready for finals if there's niggling injuries or whatever. So if that happens, Olympic, you know, being a cup game, yeah, they are always a little bit different.
All right, Nathan, let's have a chat now about your competition, the NPL women. And Sunny Coast Wanderers, you're in 7th place, 21 points. You happy with that?
Yeah. We had a good run, kind of mid round, last round, when we're playing everyone. And I think, we had a couple of wins on the trot. We had a young girl who came over from Canada for 9 games. She was actually supposed to be here to the end of the year, but a bit of homesickness, she went home. But very good player and added something a little bit different for us in the centre of the park. But from there, sickness kind of hit us a couple of weeks in a row against the 2 bottom teams. And, tough away games, tough at Capella Bar. And we're now looking at those results and thinking, well, 2-0 all results, they probably were 2 very valuable points for us. And probably our best game this year was against South the week after that. We came away from Olympic with 2 season-ending injuries. We had a girl break her wrist and another girl do her ankle. And so the Olympic game wasn't a fun one for us. But we've regrouped. We're now playing some of our under-17s and the under-23s, like our proper under-17s. There's been a few 15-year-olds in there. And, they're competing well. And even our 23s are doing okay. There is still a mathematical chance of making finals, and that team's an under-17 team mostly. But no, I've been happy, mate. We trained last night. We won't train tomorrow night, but because of the game in Brisbane. But 4 games to go. Morale's still high. We're still competing. QAS were very good on the weekend against us, and the week before, Gold Coast got us with a penalty, and so we're still in games. And we do struggle against the top teams, and they're just very hard to break down. And we haven't figured out, I think, as probably a few immature players in our playing group. Not immature as in it's more so years than anything else playing senior football. But in 2 to 3 years' time, the players we have coming through our academy, if we can keep them at the club, our senior women's team will be a formidable team to come up against when teams play us. And you got to take that long-term view. But I think we're all looking forward to a bit of a break. And after 4 weeks' time, it's been a very, very long. We started in November last year, so it'll be 10 months. So
yeah, real marathon effort. Does Capella Bar's position surprise you in 10th place?
Yes and no. Like they're an unconventional team to play against. They've lost a lot. They obviously lost a lot of players that had previously been at that club, and they're quite a young team too. So that bit doesn't surprise me because I've seen what it's kind of the impact it's had on our team, and losing players who either retired and not playing anymore or decided to move down to Caboolture with Corey. But we definitely I look at Capella Bar are very hard to play at Capella Bar. They're a very different team at their home field, and they had Lions down 1-0 on the weekend. So that's the kind of team they are. They can kind of frighten you and you just go, geez, where'd that come from? So, but I think maybe those games where they've had those lapses and, conceded a number of goals and, for Tegan to do what she did in the second half, that's just what Tegan does. So, I'm not surprised after seeing some of the games that they played, but we come up against them in the second last round and at home. It's a Friday night game. And they're just hard to beat. They beat us in the first round. So, it looks like, them, I think them and Olympic are even points at the moment. And Olympic actually playing really good football at the moment. I watched their game last week against Penn Power, and, Penn Power will probably be happy with a 2-1 win, with a penalty late. So, But, we go into every game trying to win the game, not trying to protect, and we take a few risks. And we're just trying to push the players to be better. And, that's all you can do each week.
What are your thoughts on the 10-team comp in the Elite League? Do you think 10's the right number, or do you think it should be 8 or 12?
I think 10's the right number. I think 27 rounds is probably, it's good, but what it does is it puts a lot of pressure on club budgets. Coaches. Coach fatigue's a big one for us this year. And, I had a week off myself at one point just to have a break, just to not do anything football. So I think the fatigue factor on coaches is too great. So if it was 8 teams and maybe 24, 21 rounds or something like that, I'm seeing in the Academy 1 with the girls, so there's 8 teams in that, and they're actually playing 28 games, but the standard of football each week is really good. There's no easy games, so maybe 8 might be a better number. And then you might have 8 below that, and then 8 below that perhaps, or 10 below, 10 below. But, we always struggle for depth up here only because of where we are, and people don't travel from Brisbane to play for our team.
Yeah.
Or it's very rare to do that. But we don't struggle for numbers in our academy leagues for our girls. But, yeah, mate, 8 or 10. I think 10's been fine. So
good stuff. All right, Jason, let's bring you into the chat here, mate. As we talk about QPL 1, it's Surfers Paradise Apollo. They've been actually they lost the first couple of games, but once they got their mojo happening, they've been pretty hard to stop, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been very good. They've definitely been the best team in the league this year. We've had a couple of really good games against them. We drew 3-3 with them in the first game, and we played down for 60-odd minutes, and they beat us 3-2 in round number 2 up here in Toowoomba. So, yeah, they're definitely the favourites at this point.
Yes, they're 4 points ahead of Wynnum Wolves and Logan Lightning in third on 37. So they'll be disappointed with that. They were pushing to get that top 2 place. Still all to play for, though. How do you assess the Thunder's season so far? You're 4 points behind Strikers in 5th place.
Yeah, look, we've had a kind of a year or 2 halves of the season, really. Like after the first round, after the first 11 games, we were only on 8 points. We started the year with 5 consecutive draws. We were playing good football, but didn't have a lot of luck. 3 of those games we didn't finish with all of our players. One game against Mitchelton, we had 9 players for a bit over an hour, and we still drew that game. So we sort of hung in there, and then we lost a few games. But second round of the competition, we sort of sat down halfway through and said we really thought we were in the games with every team, and we thought we had the ability to beat every team. And we drew with Capalaba and then lost that tight one to Surface. So we've basically known we've been playing finals since then, and we won 6 on the trot since then. So look, at the moment, the team is playing unbelievable football. The boys have combined really well. It's a really good vibe in the club. We're still up against it to make the floor. I think, we're going to have to rely on winning all our remaining 3 games and rely on Strikers falling over, which could happen, but it's not in our hands at the moment. All we can do is concentrate on what we can control.
Yeah, what do you put your run down to at the moment?
Like I said, not a lot has changed. We played, bar one game, the Southside Eagles beat us 5-0 in one game. We once again had players sent off, but we didn't play great. But every other game, I think that we lost. We only lost by 1 goal. So we were playing really good football. We just weren't having luck. So there hasn't been anything big. I mean, Sam Garn, it's his first year coaching, and he's a great coach. He's been very succinct that he wants to stick with his principles. Sandball, it's been called up around Toowoomba. Good style of football, right? And Sam's been adamant, no, we're going to stick to that style. And I think maybe it's just taken the boys a little bit of time to get the confidence. I think probably if I was to say one thing that we have turned around. We've stopped goals. Our defence is the second part of the season. So the last 3 games, the last 6 games, we only had 3 goals scored against us, and we've scored 23. So that makes a big difference. The first round we had 4 all draws, 3 all draws. We were letting too many goals in. So, but we've really stopped that. So, look, like I said, good vibe around the club, and who knows?
Your goal difference is 3rd best in the comp, so you got that going for you. Nathan, do you play Nathan ball?
No. The ladies may think that, but I can be a little bit old school at times, and that's probably just shows my age. But no Nathan ball, no.
No Nathan ball. All right, back to you there, Jason. Southside Eagles and Mitchelton. No, they're gone, aren't they?
Mitchelton are gone. Southside Eagles. Mathematically, they could still not go down, but they'd have to win all their games, and either Caboolture or Sunny Coast, I think, from memory, could still go down, but very unlikely. Caboolture and Sunny Coast have both been pretty decent this year. Southside Eagles, by the way, have been, like I said, they beat us 5-0 in the first round. They've been good. They've just lost a lot of games by a goal. So it looks like they'll be going down. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, looking at that goal difference, the Southside Eagles, Caboolture, Sunny Coast, it's not that they're not getting flogged, are they?
No, absolutely not. No. Our league's very close. Anyone can beat anybody in the FQPL 1 this year. So,
as we say in that cliche, hardest league to get out of. Anyway, let's move on to the FQPL 1. And Jason, you're also in this competition, and it's great to see the women's program getting wins on the board. So South West Queensland Thunder, 2nd place, 32 points, ahead of considerably behind the all-conquering Brisbane City, who haven't been beaten.
Yeah, look, Brisbane City have got a phenomenal side. I think we played them here 2 weeks ago, and I think I counted 5 A-League players, or W League players, playing in their team. And most of the girls they've got have either come through the academies. So they've got a very, very good side. Our girls have had consistently good, better results each round. I think they lost 8-1 in the first game. The other day it was 5-2 here at home, which is, I think, the closest anyone's got to them. But apart from Brisbane City and our league, our girls have had a really good year. Like I was saying before the show, we've got a really good mix of experienced players and young players. A lot of very young players, 16, 17, 18-year-olds in our team. But this year we've also got Mel Lloyd back fit and firing, Geordie Frank back fit and firing, Abby Lloyd's come home to play with us. When you add that sort of experience, and Lana Harsh, of course, who's been around at the highest levels in this country. So got a lot of good experience there with those young girls, and they've really moulded. And another new coach again this year, Tim Taylor's been our assistant for the last few years, and he stepped up to be the head coach this year. And once again, is a great style of football that he plays, and has stuck to his principles. And the girls have really taken to it. And they've got a really good vibe around the club as well. So, and they're certain to play finals this year now, which they've never done before. So great year.
Yeah, exciting times. Promotion, are we looking forward to that?
I don't think the girls are looking forward to promotion, but like I said, we've got a lot of players that are probably towards the end of their career. But the young girls now, I think, have really stepped up, and our 23s have had quite a good year as well. And similar to Nathan, a lot of our 23s are actually just under 17 players. So good things. It'll be I think it'll be tough in the league above, but we've got a good pipeline of good young players coming through here in both the men and the women, so they'll be okay.
4 rounds to go in that league. All right. Let's have a quick chat about the FQPL 2. Broadbeach United have, of course, premiers in that league. Again, 19 matches, 19 wins. Phenomenal result there. We had, of course, had Leighton on the show about a month ago. St George hanging on for second place. Good season for Grange Thistle. I might have to try and get them on the show in the next week or two. It's good to see them getting on a roll. Magic United have moved into fourth place. Same number of points as Holland Park Hawks. So, can't see anyone below the top 5 sneaking into the finals positions.
You've probably spoken about this before, Darren, too. I was going to say that just the dominance of the Gold Coast teams this year, in the NPL, you've got Knights and Gold Coast United both up near the top, and Surfers Paradise and ours, and then Broadbeach and Magic even stepping up into the 4 in that. So, yeah, quite phenomenal for Gold Coast to have all those teams performing so well in all the leagues.
Yes, we've discussed that topic at length over the past couple of weeks.
I think it might be a fair bit of interstate migration. I've had 3 or 4 inquiries over the last week or so of parents bringing their children or moving to the Sunshine Coast, from Tasmania, mid-North Coast, New South Wales, Sydney. So I think Gold Coast being a city, and then on the female side, they're only they've only got the one NPL team at the moment, but I don't think it's too far away that you'll see more than one Gold Coast team in the NPL women's. Like their junior girls are very strong, again, because they've only got the one NPL program like us. So if you're on the Gold Coast, and that's the one and only, so it's unless you want to travel up the highway or to Brisbane in our case. So I think you'll see that dominance probably on the women's side probably solidify over the next 3 to 5 years, as because I know there's some really strong female programs there. Obviously, the Knights are trying to get their one going with Gary. The Magic of on their side there, they've always had a very strong female program at a junior level. So we played them down at the Premier Invitational a few years ago on the junior girls. So I think that rise will only get probably even stronger.
Moving now to the FQPL2 Women's League, North Lakes United secured their premiership on the weekend, ahead of Ipswich Knights, Caboolture and Grange Thistle rounding out the top 4. Now, let's move on. Let's have a chat about the Sunny Coast Leagues here, Nathan. Been a great year locally this year for you guys.
Yeah. In regards to which comp?
Oh, both of them.
Yeah.
So the men's and the women's. If you look at the women's league at the moment, there's 3 points between the top 3 with Maroochydore, BGs and Noosa. Yeah,
it is a very tight comp. I've watched a few games. Obviously, I know there's a few girls who used to play for the Wanderers now that play in some of those teams. And I live pretty close by to the BGs, and I'm, that was my club or even my kids' club. So when I can, I do try to get down there and watch. And I think Toppy's back there this year, so he's great for that women's program. But it's quite any one of those 3, I think those top 3 can win the comp. I think they've kind of traded results throughout the year. The Fire were very strong last year in the women's. I think they've dropped off a little bit this year. Their 23s is very strong, but their women's not as strong as those 3 you mentioned. And even Noosa is doing well for coming up a division. They were in that first division last year, so they've come through and competing quite well as well. But that I think last year Woombye dominated the women's, and then got to finals, and that was, I think they got knocked out last year. So it's one of those comps that will depend on key players being available at that time of the year. And the premiership or the minor premiership is probably not a real good indicator maybe of finals football for that reason.
Yes, and talking about finals football, you look at the men's side, Kawana, and say no more. 4th place, but coming home like a
they do that. They do that every year, Darren. Well, they
do.
Oh, they just, they were always the team that you'd play against them when I was playing men's football in on the coast, and they'd have a shocker the week before against a team, and then they'd rock up and just play the most dynamic football, and you're like, where the hell did that come from? They were just, that team, when they put it together, because they had guys that have been there and played together for so long together, they only had to make sure that those players, those key players were there, and if they were, mate, they would dominate teams.
Just looking at the ladder, I don't trust the ladder that I'm looking at the moment, but I did see that the Woombai men's side had a loss to Gympie on the weekend, which is throwing the cat amongst the pigeons with regards to their title chances. So Clowns are in the box seat at the moment. Is that your understanding?
Yeah. And again, I think it's at that stage of the season where, community football, FQPL 3, you can lose players because they move away for work, or they're injured, or they've just lost interest. It can be that kind of league. And if you lose a few of those players, you can go from being a top 3 team to a bottom 3 team pretty quickly. I've experienced it. I've been there, and I've experienced it myself. So, I think that could happen to some of those teams at this point of the season.
Very good. All right, let's move on now to the Football Queensland South Coast. Southport, 5-point leaders with, they play 22-round competition, so 4 rounds to go. I tried so hard to get Southport on the show this week, folks. I tried so very hard. It gets to the point where I'm almost annoying, and I've got to rule the line somewhere. Knock on the door. But if they won't come, they won't come. But Southport, fantastic season. Steve McDonald doing a great job there. 5-point leaders over Rabina. Kingscliff holding on to 3rd place with Palm Beach in 4th. That top 4 is locked in. It's just a matter of whether Southport can go on with the job. Should expect, given their form, that they will. The Women's League, it's all about Gold Coast Knights. Gary French, that team, undefeated, got a great squad. I think they could compete in your league, to be honest, Nathan.
Yeah. Well, they almost got Mitchelton in the cup, So, and I watched that game online, and they got some great players. Ricatano and Amy Morland, and these kind of players that have played at a very high level, and I think they'd be a mid-range, based on what I've seen, they'd be a mid-range team in the NPL. They'd probably compete even with the likes of City in the FQPL. But I still think City have got weapons that would get above them. But I don't know what they do. Like they can only go up one leg. But I know there's been, many years ago, there was obviously dispensations for certain clubs that got promoted more than one. But I guess for Gary, his plan, I think, from speaking to him start of the year, is just to get that junior girls program going as well. So, that might be your next NPL girls women's program on the coast, which makes sense. They've got the boys program. They've got a very good boys program in the NPL space. So, very well respected. Good coaches. You got Pat Hedges there and those kind of guys, like just some really smart heads around their program. So,
Jason, would you give up the Thunder's spot to the Knights?
No comment. Well, it happened with that Knights when the Knights first came into the men's league. They got promoted out of nowhere. So, who knows? It's probably what Nathan was referring to.
Yeah. All right, Jason, let's get back to you now. And the Darling Downs men's and women's competition. Amazing. I'll just set the scene again before I throw to you. So in the men's, we've got Willowburn on 32 points, Rockville Rovers on 32 points, St Albans on 31 points, West Wanderers on 28 points. Now, Willowburn have played one less game. This is a 6-team competition, and we've still got 4 teams that are within a chance of winning it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Gatton in 5th even are on 22 points. I think technically they could still sneak in there, and they've had a couple of good results over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, look, the standard of the league up here in Toowoomba has continued to improve. So both in the men's and the women's sides, we like to think that Thunder's been a little part of that. I mean, at the semi-finals last year with the 4 teams that were playing in the men's, I think I counted 30 ex-Thunder players playing amongst those 4 teams. You know, when I say ex-players, they might have just been juniors that came through, or senior players that have now sort of retired from Thunder and gone back. So, yeah, it's certainly making a difference. There's some really good coaches in that league now. Nick Rundle, former Thunder coach, is coaching St Albans. I think they'd probably be my pick to win that. But they seem to win easily, and then all of a sudden they'll just lose a game that you didn't expect out of nowhere. Jamie McMillan's done a great job at Willowburn. Ramiz has done a great job at Rockville. So look, it's anyone's league, the men's league, absolutely.
So you're tipping St Albans to get up?
I think they just, across the park, they've got the players that can make a difference when they show up to play. Dan Webber will be starting in our side in FQPL1 if he works as a chef, unfortunately, and can't train. So he just plays locals, but he makes a difference. Rolly Lewin played for us quite a lot through juniors right up to under 18s, played a little bit of first. They've just got some real quality players in their team. So I think when the big games come around, those players will make a difference.
Now, in the Darling Downs women's competition, it's a very similar situation. We've got Willowburn White. So Willowburn have 2 teams in the league. They're on top on 36 points, having played a game less than Highfields Gold, who are also on 36. We've got Rockville Rovers Blue on 32 and Highfields Green on 26. So Highfields have 2 teams in the top 4.
Yeah, Willowburn and Highfields obviously played in the grand final last year. Highfields knocked off Willowburn. That was probably a little bit of a surprise to some. And then this year, both Highfields and Willowburn split their teams and both put 2 teams in the league. And Highfields have done amazing with both their teams being in that top 4. Once again, very, very tight league. I think the winner comes from either Willowburn or Highfields, but impossible to pick. They've had some really tight games this year, and it was a cracking grand final last year, and looking forward to another great one again this year.
With that split, Jason, do you know how they did that? Was it just friends who wanted to play with each other, or was it on talent?
I don't know exactly, but from what I've seen, the teams haven't been split evenly. Obviously, I think all the better players are still in the 2 teams that played in the grand final, and a lot of the younger players have gone into those second teams. It's not an even split, but still it's good for the competition because it's got more teams in the comp and more girls can play at that level.
Yeah, fantastic. So is this a 19 comp? Have we only got 2 weeks, couple of weeks to go?
Yeah, correct. I think they play 2 complete rounds, so 16 games. As most teams have got 2 games. So I think Willowburn might have 3.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. All right. So that is our wrap up of the leagues. Guys, I want to end the show again, the same as we did last week. Let's talk about this World Cup. It's been a fantastic tournament, and I don't know about you, I can't pick a winner. People ask me who's going to win the World Cup, and I name 10 teams. 2 of them have already not qualified through to the next round. I still, even after the first game where France were rubbish, I still thought, they could still win it.
Yeah, I think the best game I've watched is Brazil-France. I was gripped, I wasn't at the game. I didn't get tickets to that one, but watching it here at home, with my own kids, Like just the end-to-end football was just fantastic spectacle. And those that were there said it was just an amazing atmosphere. You know, the Brazil fans can be like almost booing France when they were passing the ball. You know, because as we can see from Brazil, they love to attack. They don't particularly like to defend, but that's not their style of play, which is, you know, it's great. It's great to watch. And I still think if they can put things together, they're just the kind of team that could score the most random goals. But in saying that, then you watch Netherlands last night and the young girl that scored 2 goals, almost identical, absolute belters from outside the box. But then they've got that kind of style of play that they can bounce the ball around and play good football. But even Germany, their first game were great, but not good in their second game. So they play Korea tomorrow night. I'm going down for that game. But, yeah, I think it's very open. And I think Australia has as good a chance as any other team that'll be in the round of 16. You know, I don't think there's a real favourite as such. Like Sweden are good. USA are struggling. England have been okay. But England have got, you know, some quality players like Lauren James. Like, geez.
How good is she? How good is she?
Even Sam Kerr's is like, when she trains with her, things she does at training, you just like, she's just got that swagger about her. She just, like, it just looks easy. She makes it look easy. You know, like that goal she scored the other, like a week or so ago, and then the 2 last night. Unlucky not to get a third.
I'll say 3 last night, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, those kind of players, I think, will get the teams over the line. And I think if she's firing, like, yeah, it's like good luck. And we've got our own, obviously. You know, for Rasso to get 2 goals the other night, it's quite rare for her and good for her confidence. And Caitlin Ford not scoring yet, but, you know, I think she misses Sam there because Sam plays a different role for her than what the other girls do. And I think we all knew Sam was going to play the other night. And she was, you know, they've always said it was going to be a month. It'll be 3 weeks by Monday or thereabouts, I believe. So, you know, maybe they ride it again, ride their luck and hope that we don't need to use her. I don't know. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
Good luxury to have her to be going so well and not have had Sam play yet. So yeah. I'm kind of with you, Nathan. I think it's so open, and I'm very patriotic, so I'll back Australia in. But you already picked out. I think the difference will come down to an individual player, and Lauren James just impressed me so much last night. I thought, like England, I thought Australia could easily beat England, but Lauren James could score 3 goals from 3 chances and the game's over. You know, so it's a really good
has been very good. I feel like we've held teams quite well, except the Nigerian game. We just, for whatever reason, we just looked edgy. It was just a bad night.
Yeah.
We were good against France when we played them prior to the World Cup. Claire Hunt's been great. Alana Kennedy's doing well for someone who hasn't played a lot of football at international level recently. You know, but there's still some very good players on the bench that I think we discussed before. You know, they need to be probably getting some sort of game time to fill a gap if they need to fill a gap. They could play a key role in the next, you know, 2 to 3, 4 games, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Good to see, but I mean, if the Matildas can play like they did against Canada the other night, I think they can beat any team.
Yeah.
While you were watching the England game, I was watching Denmark-Haiti last night, and of course Denmark, who we play in the round of 16. I think they're actually reasonably similar to how Canada plays. So I think you're right, Nathan. If we can put on a similar performance, we should be right to get through. Of course, Pernilla up front, she's quite an exceptional striker, so we'll have to be at our best there. But definitely doable. I can see us getting it to the last 8 at least.
Yeah, I think you know, in front of 70,000 there on Monday night too. It's a really weird scenario because a lot of us here in South East Queensland are going down to the game at 5:30, and then you know, what do? Do you leave the game early? Do you not leave the game so you can get home and watch the Aussie game? Like it's it's a real dilemma for us up on the sunny coast here. It'll take us at least an hour and a half by the time you get out of there and you get home. And so we're getting home at 9 o'clock. We're missing the first half hour of the game. Like my son said to me, he said, Dad, you can't leave the game early. You've always told me that. So I'm kind of stuck by my own words now. So it's a real tricky one. Like if England are flogging, Nigeria, like you might see an exodus out of the stadium, I think. So, which I know is not good, but we love our Aussie football. We love our Aussie sport. So it'll be hard to sit there on the phone watching it on the train on the way home. So
this is a question that I've asked everyone that's been on the show in the past few weeks. And it's going to be particularly interesting given that you're both, regional clubs. Has the World Cup, has there been any legacy, any benefit to your club with us having it here?
I think for us, I've had some interesting inquiries in the last 2 weeks from players looking to maybe just come back and play football, even at a community level, which we don't have a women's community FQPL team at the moment, but the plan is next year we'd have maybe a Division 1 team at Budrum on our community side. And but yeah, it's been very strong inquiry, more so than normal for this time of year. Normally this inquiry would come in about 4 to 6 weeks towards the end of the year, and it's more around the academy football, and parents are contacting us going, I've heard about your program. I've got no doubt it's had a benefit, and there will be a legacy going forward for this. And even now that Australia, if they didn't get through, I still think there would have been benefit to it because, these young girls are still going down to watch games and things like that. And my daughter's part of a flag ceremony at the game tomorrow at the South Korea-Germany game. So for her and for those young girls, that's something they remember forever. So most definitely, mate, I think a big tick for what they've done to promote the game here in Australia for the women. And, I think there'll be a real benefit going forward, especially up here on the sunny coast.
Yeah, I'll second that, Nathan. I think it's had a massive impact for us up here in Toowoomba and the region as well, even before the World Cup started. So this is the first year we've actually filled all 5 of the teams under our licence. Our under-13s obviously aren't playing in the FQPL1. They're playing locals because there's quite a few younger girls in there, but we've still got 13s, 15s, 17s, 23s and women for the first time. So that already had an impact. And just having players, like I said before, when we're talking like Lana Harsh, who's played at that level up here. Geordie Frank played for Australia when she was younger. So they're actually seeing players and training with them and watching them play every week up here that have been to that level and go, I think the now girls are starting to believe that, they can be what they can see, right? They can see these girls that have been there. And so I think it's had a massive impact, and I think we'll continue to see a big rise in our female playing numbers next year.
I think we can't understate the benefit of the Matildas being successful over the last probably 5 to 7 years. I came to the club here at the Wanderers in 2019 and into the junior program, and we couldn't get an under-13 or a women's program going at that year. We had 15s and 17s, and then obviously the age categories changed. Like next year, and that's only, 4.5, 5 years later, we could possibly fill 2 under-13s, 2 under-15s, 2 under-17s, and then 23s and women. Like with the volume of girls coming through the program now and inquiring locally to play academy football, I would love if we could, if there could ever be, and there may well be 2 NPL licenses for the women or for the girls on the coast up here as we become a little bit less regional, a little bit more metro, and a bit more accessible, I guess, the way the highway is now and things like that. People work in Brisbane and live up this way, or they work from home. So, I reckon the volume of girls that have gone through the program now and that are still in the program, but also the new ones coming in, I would say the numbers have tripled in 5 years. And notwithstanding the big increases in community football numbers too, I would think they're kind of similar numbers. So,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. We might wrap up the show there. Now, you'll note that I haven't spoken at all about the Metro North and South competitions. That is intentional. We will be doing a deep dive on those leagues next week. We've had a few guests that were going to come on this week that we've had to shift them to next. So we'll focus on those leagues in a big way next week. All right, Jason and Nathan, thank you so much for your time this evening. It's been great to have just a three-way chat. Good.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys. This has been the Village Law SEQFC preview show. Go there, Tillies, and we'll see you next week.